Underground cities remind us of well-beloved video games and movies such as Tomb Raider and Indiana Jones. But we expect that in reality, they're much more boring. That's far from the truth, and to prove that in today's video, we've gathered for you the top 10 most incredible underground cities from around the world. Are you ready to dig down deep? Let's go. Number 1. The Shanghai Tunnels. The Portland Underground, also known as the Shanghai Tunnels, is an underground city that's located in, you guessed it, Portland, U.S. Reportedly, this network once consisted of tunnel passageways that linked to Portland's Old Town, which was also known as Chinatown, hence the name Shanghai Tunnels. Even though most of the underground spaces are now filled with public work projects, a few of them remain and are actually open to explore with a walking tour if you wish to do so. Also, and you might want to do so, you might hear this next intriguing part of the Shanghai Tunnels. It's also an explanation for the name. Although they were originally built to move goods from the ships docked at the Willamette to the basement storage areas, rumor has it the tunnels were used for Shanghaiing, meaning they were used to kidnap people and use them to serve as sailors. Wow. Number 2. Dixiaqing. Dixiaqing, also known as Underground Great Wall, is Beijing's underground city, and it was built to be used as a shelter during bombings and nuclear attacks back in the 70s. This incredible underground city had about 100 different hidden entrances, and inside it you could find everything you might have a need of: schools, hospitals, sleeping quarters, just in case citizens needed to be there for a long period of time. But since Dixiaqing was never used, in 2000 it opened to the public and people could take a walking tour, although not of the whole city but only a small circular stretch of the complex. Most people described it as dark, damp, and genuinely eerie. So if you like this type of place, make sure to put it on your list for a must-visit, although you may have to wait a bit longer. The underground city has been closed for renovation since 2008 and has not opened back up yet to the public. Number 3. The Edinburgh Vaults. The Edinburgh Vaults, also known as the South Bridge Vaults, are located in Edinburgh, Scotland. They're a series of chambers formed within the 19 arches of the South Bridge. They first opened in 1788, and as many of you know from stories of Edinburgh, back then it was a highly superstitious place. The dark and damp chambers are still ghastly, and especially if you think of their history, you'll get chills if you're down there even today. They were originally built to house taverns, cobblers, cutlers, and other tradesmen, but rumor has it, apart from it also being a place to store illicit materials, the chambers became a place where serial killers Burke and Hare stored their victims, which they sold for medical experiments. In later years, the misery of the place continued as it became the home of the Edinburgh's poorest people, with brothels and pubs everywhere around. Number 4 is Derinkuyu. In central Turkey, in Cappadocia, there are 36 underground cities. Let that sink in. 36 underground cities, with the deepest one of them, in Derinkuyu, going down approximately 85 meters. They were discovered in 1963 and date back to the 7th and 8th centuries BC. The tunnels include everything you'd expect to find in any other normal city: living quarters, churches, storage rooms, wineries, even stables. It's rumored that more than 20,000 people live there. Although it's been open to the public since 1965, you can only see about 10% of this amazing city, but still definitely worth a visit. Number 5. The Sentinel de las Bodegas. This one might not be exactly an underground city, but it's definitely under enough to make the list. It's a small town in southern Spain and lies underneath a humongous rock overhang. It's located along a narrow river gorge that's eroded by the Rio Trejo River, and the houses are built into and under the walls of the gorge itself, making them a sight to behold, but also extremely practical. Since the actual house is shielded by nature and only the facade is out, it keeps out the heat in the summer and the cold in the winter. You can visit the small town that has a lot to offer, not only because of natural beauty and weird construction, but also because the locals have done their best to make it a proper place for the tourists with wanderlust to visit. You can have your tapas and drink Andalusian wine in the bars tucked underneath the gorge. Number 6. The Tunnels of Moose Jaw. Located in the state of Saskatchewan in southern Canada, you can find the city of Moose Jaw, with the perfect name and the series of tunnels with the 2 separate stories. Now, the one has to do with the infamous head tax on Chinese immigrants that Canada imposed in the beginning of the 20th century. Because of it, illegal immigrants were forced to live underground while working overground in local businesses in exchange for food and supplies. But in the 20s, the tunnels suddenly had new purpose. Because of the close proximity to the U.S., they were used to transport booze during the Prohibition era. Legend has it Al Capone was connected to the bootlegging, and although it's not proven, it's definitely a story that's been told over and over again and is even part of 2 interactive theatrical tours that take place underneath the Moose Jaw streets. Number 7, the Plisen Historical Underground. The Plisen Historical Underground is a 12.5-mile-long labyrinth of passageways, cellars, and wells that were built below the Plisen city streets in the Czech Republic, and they date back to the late 14th century. Even though they were originally built to store food and alcohol, there's rumors to say it also served as an escape route in case of an attack, and as legend has it, there's supposedly treasure hidden somewhere within those cellar walls. Although, as you can guess, you can't really grab your axe and go start exploring. Number 8 is réseau. Réseau comes from the French réseau, meaning network. So when you see the huge maze that réseau is, you'll understand how fitting the name is. It runs under Montreal's streets in and around the downtown area and is a place where you find restaurants, shops, hotels, galleries, cinemas, a library, apartment buildings, and 7 metro stations. Wow! The first interconnected sections were built in 1962, and the goal of easing traffic and giving a sheltered transportation in the harsh winter season, well, that's what they were trying to do. But since the appearance of the Montreal Metro in 1966, it started expanding, and now it consists of 20 miles of tunnels. This is not something we knew we wanted to visit, but it's definitely going on the bucket list straight away. Number 9. The Wylixa Salt Mine. Just 9 miles outside of Krakow in Poland, you can visit the amazing Wylixa Salt Mine and the produced salt table from the 13th century up to 2007. This underground salt city began with a series of dark caves to evolve to a complex labyrinth consisting of 185 miles of galleries, about 3,000 chambers, and 9 floors, although only the first 3 are open to the public. In order to visit them and take one of the many guided tours, you have to descend 378 wooden steps to find yourself in a place where time really does stand still. Number 10 is Nordhours, and it's our last on our list, and we're traveling to northern France, to the underground city of Nordhours. There you'll find 2 miles of tunnels and more than 300 rooms, all of them hidden underneath 100 feet of forested plateau. Nordhours may have started as part of a Roman quarry back in the 3rd century AD, but it later expanded to a subterranean village because the locals started using it as a hiding safe place during wars in the Middle Ages. It had enough room for 3,000 people, its own stables, chapels, wells, and stores like bakeries and such. The latest piece of history is that it connected with Nordhours is during World War I, where a lot of Allied soldiers visited there when they fought in the nearby Battle of Somme and left about 2,000 pieces of graffiti behind them, which you can still see there today. And there you have it, the top 10 most incredible underground cities from around the world. If you had the chance, which one would you visit and why? Tell us in the comments, and don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time.